Anya's failing microfusion core was the catalyst. The human's act of generosity, offering a vital energy boost, set everything in motion. The corridors of the Cryos 7 mining complex stretched, seemingly without end, through the heart of asteroid designated XD-49. Their duracrete walls were illuminated by a sickly pale yellow glow emanating from aging luminescent panels. Commander Rexus Vane's heavy, magnetic boots resonated against the metallic flooring with a dull grating sound as he executed his final inspection of the lower sections. His dark, reinforced exosuit, augmented with polished chrome steel plating, felt unusually cumbersome in the asteroid's reduced gravity. Rexus ran a gloved hand over his close-cropped, silver hair, then adjusted his neatly trimmed, gray-streaked beard. He scrutinized the facility's vital signs readings, displayed on his wrist-mounted console, one last time. After 3 long cycles of decommissioning procedures, the station was finally prepared for total shutdown. All that remained was this concluding security sweep before he could signal the transport vessel for extraction. "Final sector clear," he muttered into his comlink, his voice slightly distorted by the helmet's vocalizer. A sudden peripheral flicker of motion caught his attention. Down a branching passageway, Rexus froze, his hand instinctively moving to the energy pistol holstered at his hip. The facility was supposed to be completely devoid of personnel. "Identify yourself," he commanded, his amplified voice echoing off the duracrete walls. "This is Commander Vane." When no immediate response came, he drew his weapon, advancing cautiously towards the intersection. His suit's integrated tactical lamps cut sharp swathes through the dimly lit shadows. Rounding the corner, he stopped abruptly. A female figure was pressed against the wall, one hand clutching her chest. But she wasn't human. Her skin was a vibrant, turquoise hue, smooth as polished chrysoprase. Long, raven-black hair cascaded past her shoulders like flowing ink. When she turned to face him, Rexus found himself captivated by eyes that shimmered with an otherworldly golden-amber iridescence. She wore some form of advanced envirosuit that clung to her form, its surface punctuated by softly pulsating indicator lights. But what truly captured his attention was the apparatus embedded in her chest, a miniature fusion core, its luminosity steadily diminishing. "Please wait," she gasped, her voice melodious despite the evident strain. "Help me." Rexus reholstered his pistol, stepping closer. "What's wrong? Are you hurt?" "My core," she managed, her voice weak. "The reactor, it's failing. Without power, my systems will shut down, permanently." Her knees buckled, and Rexus lunged forward, catching her before she could collapse. "How long do you have before it powers down?" he asked, helping her lean against the wall for support. "Minutes, at most," she replied, her glowing eyes flickering like dying embers. "Once the core goes dark, there's no recovery. My body can't survive a complete shutdown." Rexus's mind raced. The reserve power cell in his shuttle, it was the last one he possessed, intended to maintain his emergency systems during the extended voyage back to base. But looking into the fear-filled alien eyes, he knew there was only one viable option. "Hold on," he stated firmly. "I have something that might work. Just stay with me." Without waiting for a verbal confirmation, he sprinted back the way he had come, his magnetic boots pounding against the metallic decking. His lungs burned as he pushed himself to run faster, acutely aware that every second was critical. Finally bursting into the docking bay, he practically threw himself into his shuttle storage compartment. The power cell was precisely where he had left it, its surface gleaming with stored energy. Grabbing it, he raced back through the labyrinthine corridors, desperately hoping he wasn't too late. He found her exactly where he had left her, but her luminosity had dimmed even further. Her eyes were barely visible now, like distant stars fading at dawn. "Here," he said, pressing the power cell into her trembling hands. "Will this be compatible?" Her eyes widened as she recognized the device he was offering. "This is, but these are incredibly rare and valuable. I can't possibly accept." Rexus insisted, "Please. I have plenty more back at the outpost." It was a blatant lie, but one he was more than willing to tell to save a life. With shaking fingers, she opened a panel in her chest piece and carefully connected the power cell. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, a brilliant light flared from within her. Her eyes blazed, bright as newly ignited stars. Color flooded back into her turquoise skin as the fusion core hummed back to full operational status. She sagged against him in relief, and Rexus found himself supporting her weight without hesitation. "Thank you," she whispered. "You saved my life." "I'm Rexus," he said softly. "Rexus Vane." "Lyra," she replied, her voice now stronger. "Lyra Talene." She straightened, though she didn't immediately step away from him. "I owe you a profound debt, Rexus Vane, and perhaps an explanation of how I came to be here." Rexus smiled, suddenly very aware of their close proximity. "I'd appreciate that. My transport isn't due for several cycles, anyway." "It's quite a story," she said, a hint of playful intrigue entering her glowing eyes. "It all began when they replaced my original core with this fusion reactor." As they made their way to a more comfortable setting, Rexus couldn't help but feel that his final security sweep had taken an unexpectedly fascinating turn. What he didn't know was that this chance encounter would lead to an adventure far beyond anything he could have ever imagined. The subdued hum of the mining facility's auxiliary generators provided a calming backdrop as Rexus and Lyra sat in what had once been the station's observation lounge. Through the reinforced transparasteel windows, the endless expanse of the starfield painted shifting patterns of light across her turquoise skin. The newly installed power cell in her chest pulsed with a steady, reassuring glow. "So Rexus," Lyra began, leaning back in her chair, "you promised me a story about how you ended up with a fusion reactor for a core." Lyra's amber-gold eyes sparkled with an almost mischievous light. "It's not exactly a typical topic for casual conversation," she replied, her melodic voice carrying a hint of amusement, "though I suppose saving my life has earned you the right to hear it." She absently traced the outline of the reactor housing through her suit. "On my world, Xylos, we're taught from birth that our physical forms are merely vessels, ones that can be improved, enhanced, modified. When my natural core began to fail, the choice was clear: replace it with something better." Rexus found himself captivated, not just by her words, but by the graceful way she moved, the subtle shifts in her luminescent eyes. But why a fusion reactor? Surely there were other alternatives. Alternatives? Lyra laughed, the sound like crystalline chimes in the quiet room. "My people, the Xylan, don't believe in half measures, Rexus. If something requires replacement, why not improve upon nature's design?" She leaned forward, and Rexus caught a faint, intoxicating scent, like exotic spaceborne blossoms. "This reactor doesn't just sustain me, it makes me superior. Stronger, more capable than I ever was before." "And the luminescence?" Rexus asked, gesturing to her eyes. "Was that part of the enhancement package too?" "A side effect," she admitted, moving to sit closer to him. "The reactor's energy suffuses my entire being. Some find it beautiful, others find it disconcerting." "Beautiful," Rexus stated without hesitation. "Definitely beautiful." Their eyes met, and the air between them seemed to crackle with an unspoken energy. Lyra's hand found its way to his arm, her touch sending pleasant shivers through his exosuit's climate control system and somehow beyond. "You know," she said softly, "among my people, saving a life creates a bond, a connection that transcends ordinary relationships." Her fingers traced intricate patterns on his suit's plating. "The fact that you gave me your last power cell, without even knowing me." Rexus swallowed, acutely aware of her proximity. "It was the right thing to do." "The noble thing," she corrected. "The human thing. My people, we calculate. We analyze. We weigh costs and benefits. But you—" Her free hand came up to touch his beard, the unexpected contact startling him. "You acted purely on instinct and compassion." The tension between them was palpable now, a magnetic pull that seemed to draw them closer with each passing moment. Rexus could feel the warmth radiating from her fusion core, a gentle pulse that matched the quickening beat of his own heart. "Your core," he murmured, his voice slightly hoarse. "Does it affect how you feel? Your emotions?" Lyra's lips curved into a smile that made his pulse quicken. "It enhances everything, Rexus. Every sensation, every feeling." She leaned in closer, her breath warm against his ear. "Every touch." Their first kiss was like completing an electrical circuit. Rexus felt energy course through him, making every nerve ending, even those shielded by his exosuit, tingle with heightened awareness. Lyra's skin was impossibly smooth beneath his hands, warm and alive with the pulse of her fusion core. What followed was a revelation of differences and similarities, an exploration of Xylan and human anatomy that proved some desires transcend species. Their coupling was both tender and passionate, a joining of not just bodies, but energy, his natural warmth meeting her reactor-enhanced heat in a perfect synthesis. Afterward, they lay together on the observation lounge's cushioned seating, watching the stars wheel slowly past. Lyra's head rested on his chest, her reactor's glow casting a gentle pulsating light between them. "I should thank you again," she said, tracing the contours of his chest through the exosuit. "Not just for saving my life, but for showing me something I never expected to find in this abandoned place." "What's that?" "That sometimes the most powerful reactions aren't the ones we engineer, but the ones that happen, naturally." She propped herself up on one elbow, her eyes holding his. "My people would never understand this. They'd say I was letting emotions override logic." Rexus reached up to brush a strand of her silken hair back. "And what do you say?" "I say that for the first time since they gave me this fusion core. I feel truly alive." She placed her hand over his own heart, feeling its strong steady beat through the layers of his suit. "Your power cell did more than just recharge my systems, Rexus. It opened my eyes to possibilities I never considered." "Like what?" "Like, the fact that maybe my people's way isn't the only way. That there's value in acting on instinct, in following one's heart, even an artificial one." She smiled. "And that perhaps humans understand some things better than we do." Their conversation was interrupted by a soft, insistent beeping from Rexus's wrist-mounted console. "That's my transport," he said reluctantly. "They'll be here in an hour." Lyra sat up, her expression turning serious. "Come with me," she said suddenly. "There's something I need to show you, something that explains why I was really here, and why this fusion core of mine is more significant than you know." Rexus raised an eyebrow. "I thought you were just passing through?" She shook her head, her eyes taking on a mysterious gleam. "Nothing in this universe is that simple, Rexus. Especially not when it comes to matters of the core, reactor, or otherwise." Rising gracefully, Lyra began to reseal her envirosuit, its systems humming to life. Rexus couldn't help but admire how the tech-enhanced fabric seemed to flow over her turquoise skin like liquid quicksilver. "My presence here wasn't accidental," she admitted, adjusting the suit's controls near her reactor housing. "I was searching for something that could change everything for people like me." Rexus pulled on his own helmet, intrigued. "People with fusion cores? Modified people? Enhanced people?" She turned to face him, her expression both vulnerable and determined. "There are others like me, Rexus. Not just on Xylos, but scattered across the galaxy. Some by choice, others by necessity. And not all of them are as fortunate as I am." "What do you mean?" "This power cell you gave me," she touched her chest, "it's not just rare and expensive. It's specifically calibrated for bio-integration. Most have to make do with inferior substitutes, living half-lives, always afraid their next breath could be their last." The weight of her words settled over him. "And you're trying to help them?" "I'm trying to find a better way." She moved closer, taking his hands in hers. "The research that was conducted here in this facility, it wasn't just about mining. They were working on something revolutionary. A self-sustaining power source that could adapt to any biological system." Rexus frowned. "But this facility was decommissioned cycles ago. All research data was supposed to be transferred off-station." "Supposed to be," Lyra agreed with a knowing smile. "But some things are too valuable to trust to official channels." Their eyes met, and Rexus felt that familiar spark between them intensify. Here was this extraordinary being, part organic, part machine, who had literally shared her energy with him, who had shown him that love could transcend not just species, but the very definition of what it meant to be alive. "The transport will be here soon," he said softly. "I know," she squeezed his hands. "And you have a choice to make, Rexus Vane. You can board that transport, return to your ordered, predictable life, or you can help me find what I'm looking for. Help me give others the same chance at life that you gave me." "That's quite a proposition," he said, trying to keep his tone light despite the gravity of the moment. "Especially from someone I just met." Lyra's reactor pulsed brighter, her eyes matching its intensity. "Is it?" You didn't hesitate to give me your last power cell. You didn't calculate the risks or weigh the consequences. You simply acted, from here. She placed her hand over his heart again. Perhaps it's time to trust that instinct, again. The facility's lighting shifted, indicating the approaching end of its operational cycle. In the dimmer illumination, Lyra's natural bioluminescence became more pronounced, creating an ethereal aura around her. Besides, she added with a playful smirk, I still owe you a power cell. Rexus couldn't help but laugh. Is that what we're calling it now? Among other things, her expression turned more serious. What do you say, Commander Vane? Ready to help a girl with a mechanical core find her destiny. Before he could respond, a distant rumble echoed through the station. The transport ship, beginning its docking sequence. They had minutes to decide. The transport ship's docking clamps resonated through the facility like distant, seismic tremors. Rexus looked at Lyra, her turquoise skin glowing softly in the dimming light, and made his decision. I've spent my entire career following protocols and procedures, he said, reaching for his wrist-mounted console. With a few quick commands, he sent a coded message to the transport ship. Looks like there's been a technical malfunction with the facility's shutdown sequence. They'll have to return tomorrow. Lyra's amber-gold eyes sparkled with delight. Are all humans this impulsive, or are you special? Let's just say you're not the only one whose core needs a jumpstart sometimes, he grinned, adjusting his tactical suit. Now, about this revolutionary power source. They made their way through the facility's winding corridors, Lyra leading them deeper into sections Rexus hadn't explored during the decommissioning process. Her reactor's glow cast dancing shadows on the Duracrete walls, creating an intimate atmosphere despite their precarious situation. The research team discovered something remarkable here, Lyra explained, her fingers dancing across a concealed control panel. A way to create self-sustaining energy through biological integration. Imagine, never needing another power cell, never fearing system failure. A hidden door slid open, revealing a laboratory that definitely wasn't on the official facility schematics. Rexus whistled low. I've been here 3 cycles and never knew this existed. That was the point. Lyra moved to a central console, her hands moving with practiced efficiency. The corporation that ran this facility, Galactech, they understood the implications of this technology. Imagine millions of enhanced beings no longer dependent on their power cells, no longer controlled by those who regulate the supply. Rexus watched her work, admiring how her movements seemed to flow like liquid starlight. Freedom, through technology. Your people would appreciate that. Some would. Others. She paused, her expression darkening. Others profit too much from the current system to want change. The console hummed to life, holographic displays filling the air around them. Rexus found himself drawn to one particular image, a detailed schematic of what looked like an organic power core. Is that what we're looking for? The prototype. Lyra's fingers traced the hologram. It was developed here, tested successfully, but then. She frowned. The records end abruptly, just before the facility's decommissioning was announced. Convenient timing, Rexus noted, moving closer to examine the data. His proximity to Lyra sent pleasant shivers through both of them, their energy fields seeming to resonate together. Barik, she turned to face him, their bodies nearly touching. The prototype wasn't destroyed, Rexus. It was hidden. And I believe it's still here, somewhere in this facility. Then we'll find it. He reached up to brush a strand of her silken hair back, his fingers lingering on her cheek. Together. Their eyes met, and that now familiar electrical charge sparked between them. Lyra's reactor pulsed brighter, responding to her quickening heartbeat. Without words, they came together, their kiss charged with both passion and purpose. Later, as they lay entwined in the soft glow of emergency lighting, Lyra traced patterns on Rexus's chest. You know, she mused, my people have a saying, energy seeks its own level. It means that power naturally flows where it's meant to be. Is that what this is? Rexus asked, running his fingers along the smooth curve of her shoulder. Energy, finding its level? This. She propped herself up, her reactor casting a warm light between them. This is something entirely new. Something neither of our species fully understood was possible. Her hand found his heart, feeling its strong, steady beat. Your natural energy, My artificial power, they shouldn't work together. But they do. Perfectly. Rexus pulled her closer, marveling at how their bodies fit together despite their differences. Maybe that's what the researchers discovered. Not just a new power source, but a new way of understanding energy itself. Through connection. Tyra agreed, her eyes glowing with intensity. She suddenly sat up, her expression changing. Rexus, that's it. She sprang to her feet, quickly securing her envirosuit. Rexus followed suit, intrigued by her sudden excitement. The prototype, she explained, her hands flying over the console again. We've been thinking about it wrong, looking in the wrong places. It's not stored in some secret vault or hidden compartment. Then where is it? It's in the facility itself. Her fingers danced across the holographic displays, bringing up new schematics. Look at these power readings, the way they fluctuate, the patterns. It's not just auxiliary generators keeping this place running. Rexus studied the data, his tactical training kicking in. The whole facility is one big reactor.
Better. Lyras Eis Sparklet with Discovery.
It's a testing ground. The prototype wasn't just developed here, it was integrated into the facility's systems. They turned the entire station into a proof of concept. But why hide that fact? Why not announce such a breakthrough? Because it worked too well, she turned to face him, her expression serious. Think about it, Rexus. A power source that could sustain itself indefinitely, that could adapt to any system it was connected to. It would change everything. The power dynamics of entire civilizations would shift overnight. And some people prefer the current dynamics just fine, Rexus finished, understanding dawning. That's why they shut this place down, buried the research, tried to make everyone forget it ever existed. Exactly, Lyra's reactor pulsed with excitement. But they couldn't completely destroy it without raising questions. So they left it here, hidden in plain sight, probably hoping it would eventually fail on its own. Rexus moved to the console, examining the facility layout with new eyes.
So, how do we access it? Extract the technology.
We don't need to, Lyra's hand found his, their fingers intertwining. We just need to prove it exists. Document it. Show the galaxy that it's possible. Once that information is out there, no one can bury it again. And your people, the ones with reactor cores, they'll finally have hope. She squeezed his hand. A future where they're truly free. Not dependent on controlled resources or regulated power cells. The facility's lights flickered, as if responding to their discovery. Rexus pulled Lyra close, feeling the warmth of her reactor against his chest. We'll need to move fast, he said. Once they realize the transport ship's coming back empty, they'll send someone to investigate. Are you ready for this, Lyra? Rexus asked, his eyes searching hers. Once we start, there's no going back. Your career, your life. Lyra silenced him with a kiss, feeling that now familiar surge of energy between them. My life changed the moment I found you in that corridor. I might as well make it count for something bigger than us. The hidden laboratory hummed with newfound purpose as Rexus and Lyra worked to understand the facility's integrated power system. Holographic displays filled the air around them, showing complex energy patterns that pulsed and flowed like living things. Look at this, Lyra said, her fingers dancing through a particularly intricate data stream. The facility's power grid isn't just self-sustaining, it's adaptive. It learns from every system it connects to. Rexus moved behind her, his chest brushing against her back as he studied the display. The contact sent a pleasant surge through both of them, their energy fields harmonizing instinctively. Like your fusion core, he observed, one hand resting on her waist. It adapts to your biological systems. Exactly, she leaned back against him, her reactor's glow brightening. But this is on a much larger scale. The whole facility is like one giant, synthetic organism. Their research was interrupted by a warning chime from Rexus's wrist-mounted console. Security alert, he muttered, pulling up the display. 3 ships just entered the asteroid's orbit.
Notstandardtransport vessels. Corporate security.
Galactech, Lyra said grimly. They're faster than I expected. We need to move. Rexus quickly began downloading data to his suit's storage systems. How much longer do you need with the core systems? 10 minutes, maybe 5, to fully map the energy integration patterns, she worked rapidly, her hands blurring over the controls. But Rexus, there's something else. Something we didn't anticipate. He paused in his data transfer.
What is it?
The facility's power grid. It's not just learning from my reactor, it's learning from us. From our connection. She brought up a new display, showing energy patterns that seemed to dance and intertwine. Look at these readings, from when we're together. The system is mapping our energy exchange, using it to create new integration protocols. Rexus studied the data, fascination overriding his concern about their pursuers. You mean, when we connect? Yes, a faint blush darkened her turquoise skin. Our intimate moments are teaching the system how to bridge the gap between organic and synthetic energy sources. It's using our compatibility as a template. The implications hit them both at once. Their physical attraction, their passionate encounters, what they'd thought was just a powerful connection between two beings was actually advancing the very technology they sought to understand. So, every time we've been together, we've been helping prove that organic and synthetic energy can truly harmonize? She turned to face him, her eyes glowing with intensity. Rexus, this is beyond just power cells or fusion cores. This could change how every species in the galaxy thinks about energy itself. A distant boom echoed through the facility, the sound of docking clamps engaging. Their pursuers had arrived. We need to finish this, Rexus said, his tactical training kicking in. Can you interface directly with the facility's core? Use your reactor to speed up the data transfer.
Yes, but...
She bit her lip. It would be dangerous. A direct connection could overload my systems, unless you had backup. He pulled her close, his heart pounding against her reactor. My energy. Remember? We do this together. Their eyes met, understanding passing between them. Without words, they moved to the central console. Lyra opened a panel in her envirosuit, exposing her fusion core housing. Rexus positioned himself behind her, his arms encircling her waist, his chest pressed against her back. Ready, she whispered. Always, Rexus replied. Lyra connected herself to the facility systems, and immediately, her reactor flared with brilliant light. She gasped as energy began flowing through her, far more powerful than her systems were designed to handle. But then, Rexus's energy joined with hers, his natural warmth helping to stabilize and channel the massive power surge. The laboratory came alive around them, displays flickering with unprecedented speed as data poured through their connected bodies. Rexus felt every surge and pulse as if it were his own heartbeat, while Lyra's consciousness expanded to encompass the entire facility's power grid. It's incredible, she breathed, her voice thick with wonder. I can feel everything. Every system, every connection. Rexus, it's beautiful. He held her tighter, anchoring her as the power continued to build. Stay with me, Lyra. Focus on our connection. Their energies merged more completely than ever before, creating a feedback loop that the facility systems eagerly mapped and integrated. In those moments, they weren't just two beings sharing intimacy. They were a living proof of concept, demonstrating that the barriers between organic and synthetic life were more permeable than anyone had imagined. The sound of boots in distant corridors barely registered through their shared experience. But when Lyra's reactor began to pulse erratically, Rexus knew they had to act. We need to disconnect, he said urgently. Your systems are reaching critical levels. Just a few more seconds, she gasped, her body trembling with the strain. The transfer is almost complete. The laboratory door shuddered. Someone was trying to break through. Rexus reached for the connection point, ready to forcibly separate her if necessary. But then, Lyra's reactor gave one final, brilliant pulse, and the data transfer completed. She collapsed back against him as he quickly disconnected her from the system. Did we get it all? He asked. Everything, she confirmed weakly, her reactor slowly stabilizing. The complete blueprint for biological power integration. It's all here. She patted her chest, where her reactor housed the precious data. The door shuddered again, more violently this time. Rexus helped Lyra to her feet, supporting her as she found her balance. There's another way out, she said, indicating a maintenance shaft hidden behind a bank of equipment. It leads to the lower levels. We can access my ship from there. Your ship? Rexus asked. A mischievous smile played across her lips, despite her exhaustion. You didn't think I came here on public transport, did you? The door began to glow red around its edges. Their pursuers were cutting through. Rexus guided Lyra to the hidden exit, his tactical suit systems already mapping their escape route. When we get out of this, he said as they climbed into the shaft, remind me to thank you. For what? For having a failing reactor in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time. Her laugh echoed softly in the confined space. Destiny, perhaps? Or just good engineering? Either way, he replied, helping her navigate a tight turn, I'd say we both got quite a recharge out of it. The maintenance shaft twisted through the facility's infrastructure like an industrial artery. Rexus and Lyra moved as quickly as they dared, their progress marked by the steady pulse of her reactor's glow. Above them, the sounds of their pursuers echoed through the station's corridors. Your reactor, Rexus whispered as they navigated a particularly tight junction. How's it handling the data load? Lyra paused to check a readout on her suit's sleeve. The integration patterns are complex. My systems are having trouble processing everything we downloaded. Her voice held a note of strain that concerned him. We need to find somewhere to stabilize the data, he said, consulting his tactical display. There's an auxiliary control room 2 levels down. It should have the equipment we need. They reached a vertical shaft, maintenance rungs disappearing into darkness below. Rexus went first, his suit's enhanced strength making it easy to support both their weights when Lyra's energy fluctuated. You know, she said as they descended, on Xylos, this would be considered quite romantic. Despite their situation, Rexus couldn't help but smile. Climbing through maintenance shafts while being chased by corporate security? No, she laughed softly, a strong handsome male helping a female protect her vital energy systems. Her reactor pulsed with a teasing light. Though the maintenance shaft adds a certain primal appeal. They reached the lower level, Rexus helping her off the ladder with perhaps more physical contact than strictly necessary. The touch sent pleasant surges through both of them, their energy fields harmonizing automatically. Focus, he murmured, though his hands lingered on her waist. We need to stabilize that data before. Lyra's reactor suddenly flared, causing her to stumble. Rexus caught her, pulling her close as waves of energy cascaded through her systems. The data, she gasped. It's not just information about the facility, the integration patterns we downloaded, they're trying to optimize my reactor, rewrite my core protocols. Rexus helped her to the auxiliary control room, quickly securing the door behind them. The small space was cramped with monitoring equipment, forcing them to stay close, not that either of them minded. Can you isolate the data? He asked, bringing systems online. Keep it from affecting your core functions? I'm trying, her fingers flew over a console, turquoise skin gleaming with perspiration. But it's like the facility's consciousness is trying to merge with mine. Show me a better way to exist. Rexus connected her suit to the room's diagnostic systems, watching as complex energy patterns danced across the displays. Better? More efficient? More complete? She turned to face him, her eyes glowing with an intensity that took his breath away. The facility learned from us, Rexus. From how our energies work together. Now it wants to apply that learning to my systems. Understanding dawned. It's trying to make you self-sustaining, like we discovered it could be? Yes, but... She bit her lip, an endearingly human gesture. The process is overwhelming my current configuration. I need... Her reactor pulsed erratically. I need stabilization. Anchoring, like when we connected before. Their eyes met, electricity crackling between them. Without words, Rexus stepped closer, placing his hand over her reactor housing. Immediately, her energy field synchronized with his, creating that now familiar harmony of synthetic and organic power. Better? He asked softly. Much, she leaned into his touch, her reactor's glow steadying. But I need more. A deeper connection, like in the laboratory. Help me process this data, Rexus. Help me evolve. The diagnostic displays showed her power levels rising, approaching critical thresholds. But there was no fear in her eyes, only trust, in something deeper, more profound. Their coupling was different this time, not just physical passion, but a true melding of energies. Rexus felt every surge and pulse as if it were his own heartbeat, while Lyra's consciousness expanded to encompass them both. The facility's data flowed between them, finding new patterns, new ways to integrate synthetic and organic systems. Afterward, they lay entwined amid the humming equipment, their energy still dancing together in perfect synchronization. Lyra's reactor glowed with a new steadiness, its light somehow both softer and more powerful than before. The data, Rexus said, running his fingers along her arm. Did we stabilize it? Better, she smiled, placing his hand over her reactor. Feel it. He closed his eyes, concentrating on their connection. Her energy felt different now, more efficient, more harmonious. The erratic surges were gone, replaced by a steady flow that perfectly complemented his own natural rhythms. The facility, integration protocols. She explained, they're not just data anymore. They've become part of my operating system. My reactor isn't just self-sustaining now, it's adaptive. Evolving, like the facility itself. Yes, but better, she traced the lines of his face. Because it has you as a template. A perfect example of how organic and synthetic systems can work together. A distant explosion rocked the station, reminding them of their pursuit. Rexus helped Lyra to her feet, noting how much more smoothly she moved now. We need to reach your ship, he said, checking his tactical display. But they'll be watching all the main docking bays. Who said anything about main docking bays? Lyra's eyes sparkled with mischief. There's a maintenance airlock 2 levels down. My ship is small enough to dock there, assuming you trust my piloting skills. After what we just shared, he pulled her close for a quick kiss. I trust you to fly through a supernova. Careful, she teased, her reactor pulsing playfully. I might take that as a challenge. They moved to the door, but Lyra paused before opening it. Rexus, what happens after we escape? The data we've uncovered, what my reactor has become, it changes everything. I know, he took her hand, feeling their energy sink automatically. But change isn't always bad. Look at us. A human and a Xylan with a synthetic core, proving that the impossible is possible. Galactech won't see it that way. They'll try to stop us from sharing this knowledge. Let them try, his voice held steel. They wanted to bury this discovery because they were afraid of its power. But real power isn't about control, it's about connection. About finding new ways to work together, to evolve together. Her reactor brightened at his words. Is that famous human optimism I have heard so much about? No, he smiled and pulled her in for one more kiss. That is just me falling in love, with a woman that literally lights up my life. The journey to the maintenance airlock became a dangerous dance through the facility's industrial underbelly. Rexus's tactical suit sensors mapped their pursuers' movements above, while Lyra's newly evolved reactor provided both illumination and early warning through its sensitivity to power fluctuations. Security teams are spreading out, Rexus whispered, checking his display. They're starting to search the maintenance levels. Then we'll have to be creative, Lyra's amber-gold eyes sparkled with determination. She placed her hand against a nearby wall panel, her reactor pulsing as she connected with the facility systems. The integration protocols I absorbed, they give me certain advantages. The corridor's lighting shifted, creating false power signatures that would confuse their pursuers' sensors. Rexus watched in amazement as she manipulated the facility systems with intuitive ease. Impressive, he murmured, unable to resist pulling her close for a quick kiss.
Remintem et tu ne va play poker with you.
Is that a human game of strategy? Her reactor brightened playfully. I'd be more interested in games where we both win. Their flirtation was interrupted by the sound of boots on metal grating. A security team had found their way to the maintenance level. Rexus quickly guided them into a narrow service alcove, their bodies pressed together in the confined space. The intimacy of their position, combined with the danger of discovery, sent their energy fields into overdrive. Lyra's reactor pulsed in harmony with Rexus's racing heart as they held perfectly still, listening to the search team pass by. Your tactical suit, Lyra whispered once the danger had passed. It's interfacing with my reactor, somehow creating a stealth field. Rexus looked down at his suit's displays, noting the unusual energy patterns. The facility's integration protocols must have affected it too. We're becoming more in sync with every passing moment. They continued their careful progress through the maintenance tunnels, their movements becoming increasingly coordinated. It was as if they could anticipate each other's actions, their bodies and energy fields working in perfect harmony. "The airlock is just ahead," Lyra said after navigating another junction. "But there's a problem. The corporate ships are maintaining a sensor web around the facility. They'll detect any standard engine signatures."
Standardangines.
Rexus raised an eyebrow. "Why do I get the feeling your ship isn't exactly standard?" Her smile was both mysterious and alluring. "Let's just say I've made some modifications, especially after my enhancement." She tapped her reactor housing meaningfully. "But we'll need to time this perfectly. The moment we break cover, they'll have seconds to react." They reached the maintenance airlock, a compact chamber designed for repair drones and emergency evacuations. Through its small viewport, Rexus could see Lyra's ship, a sleek, dark vessel that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Beautiful," he breathed, admiring its unconventional design. "Wait until you see what she can do." Lyra began interfacing with the airlock controls, her fingers dancing across the panel. "But first, we need to synchronize." "Synchronize." She turned to face him, her expression both serious and seductive. "My ship's engines are powered by the same technology as my reactor. With the new integration protocols, I can link them directly to my systems. But the power surge will be intense. I'll need anchoring, stabilization." Understanding dawned. "Like in the control room?" "Exactly." She stepped closer, her reactor's glow reflecting in his eyes. "But this time, we'll need to maintain the connection during the escape. Complete synchronization of organic and synthetic energy." The implication sent shivers through both of them. What they had shared before had been powerful, but this would be something else entirely, a sustained fusion of their energies during a high-stakes escape. "Are you sure about this, Lyra?" Rexus asked, though his body was already responding to her proximity. "The strain on your systems has never been more perfectly balanced." She placed his hand over her reactor, letting him feel its steady, powerful rhythm. "Thanks to you. To us. What we've discovered together isn't just about power sources or technological evolution, it's about finding the perfect resonance between different forms of energy, different forms of life." Their coupling in the airlock chamber was brief but intense, their energies merging more completely than ever before. Rexus felt himself becoming attuned to every pulse of her reactor, while Lyra's consciousness expanded to encompass both their connected forms and her waiting ship. When they finally separated, something had changed. Their energy fields remained linked, creating a feedback loop of power and sensation that made them feel like a single, perfectly calibrated system. "Ready?" Lyra asked, her voice husky with both physical and technological intimacy. "Born ready," Rexus replied. Rexus helped her seal her envirosuit, his fingers lingering on the connections. "Though I have to ask, is this how your people usually prepare for spaceflight?" Her laugh was like crystal chimes. "Only the smart ones. Now, hold on tight. Things are about to get interesting." They entered the airlock together, their bodies and energies still perfectly synchronized. Through their connection, Rexus could feel Lyra interfacing with her ship, bringing its systems online with barely a whisper of power. "On my mark," she whispered, "I'm going to trigger an electromagnetic pulse from my reactor. It'll create a blind spot in their sensor web, but only for a few seconds. And that's our window. That is our window." Her reactor began to pulse faster, building power. "The moment we're aboard, I'll need you to maintain our connection while I pilot. Think you can handle it?" Rexus pulled her close, feeling their combined energy surge. "After everything we've shared, keeping you charged up is becoming my specialty." "Careful, Commander," she teased, initiating the airlock sequence. "Talk like that might make a girl fall in love with you." "Too late," he murmured against her ear. "Pretty sure I fell the moment you started glowing." The airlock cycled, and space beckoned. As they prepared to make their daring escape, Rexus realized that what had started with a simple act of kindness, giving a power cell to a dying stranger, had evolved into something revolutionary. Not just for technology, or for their species, but for the very nature of connection itself. The void between stars erupted in chaos as Lyra's ship burst from the maintenance airlock. The electromagnetic pulse from her reactor created a momentary blind spot in the corporate security net, giving them precious seconds of stealth. Multiple pursuit vessels detecting us, Rexus reported from the co-pilot's position, his tactical systems integrated with both the ship and Lyra's reactor through their sustained connection. They're launching interceptors. Let them chase shadows. Lyra's hands danced across the controls, her reactor pulsing in harmony with the ship's systems. The sleek vessel responded like an extension of her body, weaving through the asteroid field with impossible grace. Their shared energy field expanded to encompass the entire ship, creating a perfect synthesis of pilot, vessel, and navigator. Through their connection, Rexus could feel every minor adjustment Lyra made, anticipating her needs before she voiced them. The integration protocols, he realized, watching power patterns flow between them, they're not just affecting your reactor anymore. The whole ship is adapting. Better than that, her amber gold eyes sparkled with excitement. Oh, watch this. She initiated a complex sequence, and suddenly, the ship's energy signature transformed. Instead of appearing as a single vessel, they now registered as a scattered field of mineral deposits, indistinguishable from the surrounding asteroids.
A quantum Camouflagefield. Rexus briest in amazement.
Using the same principles as our synchronized energy patterns? Exactly, Lyra's reactor brightened with pride. The ship learns from us, just like the facility did. Every moment we stay connected, it develops new ways to integrate organic and synthetic systems. Their pursuers split up, searching in all the wrong directions, as Lyra guided them through a series of precision maneuvers. Each near miss, each perfect dodge, brought them closer together, their energy resonance growing stronger. We need to make it past the Carillon Nebula, Lyra explained, plotting a course through the swirling gases. I have contacts there, people who can help us distribute the integration data to every enhanced being in the galaxy. Galactech will try to stop us, Rexus warned, though his tone held no fear. They'll send everything they have. Let them, she flashed him a confident smile. They don't understand what we've discovered. Real power isn't about control or dominance. It's about connection, they said together, their energy fields pulsing in perfect sync. The journey through the nebula became a dance of light and shadow, their vessel slipping between patrol routes and sensor nets with fluid grace. Every close call only served to strengthen their bond, teaching the ship new ways to adapt and evolve. During a particularly tense moment, hiding in the corona of a dying star, Lyra turned to Rexus with an intensity that took his breath away. I need to show you something, she said, taking his hand and placing it over her reactor housing.
Feel the difference.
He closed his eyes, concentrating on their connection. Her energy signature had changed, become more complex, more intricate. It's beautiful, he murmured.
Like a symphony of light.
It's more than that, she guided his awareness deeper, letting him sense the subtle variations in her power flow. The integration protocols didn't just make my reactor self-sustaining, they made it capable of generating new power cells. Rexus's eyes snapped open.
You mean?
I can create them now, she confirmed, her smile radiant. Clean, sustainable power sources that can adapt to any enhanced being's unique biology. No more dependence on corporate-controlled supplies, no more fear of system failure. The implication staggered him. You've become a source of life itself. Thanks to you, she leaned in, her reactor's glow intensifying. Your gift of that power cell didn't just save my life, it started a chain reaction that will save countless others. Their kiss was electric, sending cascades of energy through the ship's systems. The vessel responded by developing new stealth protocols, weaving their combined power signature into the natural background radiation of space. As they approached the nebula's edge, a massive corporate blockade waited. But Lyra didn't seem concerned. Ready for the grand finale? She asked, her hands hovering over the controls. Born ready, Rexus replied, feeling their energies build towards something unprecedented. Lyra initiated a sequence that linked her reactor directly to the ship's core, while Rexus channeled his natural energy through his tactical systems. The resulting surge transformed their vessel into pure light, a quantum state that let them pass through the blockade as if it didn't exist. They emerged in free space, leaving their pursuers far behind. The nebula's swirling colors painted patterns across Lyra's turquoise skin as she set course for her contact's location. You know, she said thoughtfully, my people have a legend, about a being of pure energy who would come to free us from our technological dependencies. They called it the Lightbringer. Sounds like a heavy title, Rexus teased, though he could feel the weight of her words through their connection. It is, she turned to face him fully. But they got it wrong. It was never meant to be a single being. It's about connection. The perfect fusion of organic and synthetic, of human and Xylan. Of heart and reactor, Rexus added, pulling her close. Of love and power, Lyra finished. Their energy fields merged once more, creating a sustained resonance that would serve as a template for a new way of existence. Through their bond, they would teach others how to achieve true harmony between their organic and synthetic aspects. The corporate pursuit ships became distant points of light, unable to track a vessel that had transcended conventional physics. Ahead lay a future where no enhanced being would ever fear a failing core, where the boundary between organic and synthetic life would blur into meaningless distinction. So Rexus, Lyra said as they cruised toward destiny, about that recharge you needed. Lyra's laugh was pure joy. Best power failure I ever had. Their ship sailed on through the star-studded void, carrying within it the seeds of a revolution born from a simple act of kindness, a revolution that would reshape the galaxy, not through force or control, but through the most powerful energy source of all, love.